Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to mismapasion, YouTube's premium channel about all things women's football, and welcome back to Top 5. This is of course the series of videos where I bring to you the top 5 matches across the top 5 leagues in Europe every week. And without any further ado, let's get cracking as we start off in England, where the first of many great comebacks kicks us off here with Arsenal taking on Leicester City. Leicester City were the team at home here, and they ran out unlucky losers as they succumbed to 6-2 defeat at the hands of the Gunners here. It would be interesting to note, first of all, that Leicester at the early stages of the game looked like the best team going forward here, and Arsenal would do their very best to respond, but they would be very wasteful some very good opportunities. The likes of Victoria Pelova had so many one-on-one opportunities with the keeper where they could either square the ball to a teammate or just go for goal, but unfortunately when she went for goal she would just miss her opportunities, and when the opportunity arose for her to pass to a teammate, she just seemed to not be in line of sight of that killer pass to just give Arsenal the lead. And unfortunately for them, they would eventually be punished by the Foxes, who would get a quick fire 2-goal lead over the Gunners here, with goals coming in from Tierney from a header from a set piece situation and from Cayman. And going into the second half, it would seem that Leicester are going to be the team who are going to be dominating, but I don't know what words were spoken by Jonas Edevold, because the Gunners came out swinging as just 3 minutes into the half, Chloe Lacasse would do her very best to bring Arsenal back as she drew a ball back and made sure that the Gunners would contention for at least a draw going into the rest of the game here. And luckily enough, the goals started to come flooding in one by one, as after Lacasse would make sure that she would get a goal back, the likes of Victoria Pelova and Lena Hurtig and Stina Blackstenius would start to get shots of their own through on goal to make sure that Arsenal would eventually run out the overall 60 winners in this game. It was a very entertaining match. It is interesting to note from this game particularly the natural evolution that Arsenal have taken from a very shaky start in the beginning of the WSL, where it was pretty much just crossing and inshallah by the Gunners, and that seemed to be the only tactic by Jonas Edevold. The team has now evolved to take a more holistic approach to particularly their attacking prowess, only now going through the middle as well as going, again, crossing an inshallah as they were doing before. So it's good to see that Jonas Edevold has introduced new attacking dynamics into the team, and it's really helped to have the likes of Victoria Pelova and Kara Cooney-Cross to be the ones who dictate the attack from more than one point of view for Arsenal, particularly playing through the middle and passing the ball around in a very quick fire and short manner that is allowing Arsenal to get so many opportunities at goal, especially exemplified in this match here against Leicester. And long may it continue for Arsenal. For me personally, watching this game, it's just a situation of them now just needing to sharpen up their defensive fragility, as there are some opportunities where if Leicester were just a little bit more focused on attacking the goal, they would have easily exploited Arsenal's poor defensive organizational skills here. But again, Arsenal were lucky that Leicester weren't that lethal ferocious in front of goal. Otherwise, we'd be saying something completely different for this entry for the WSL. But otherwise, a very good win for the Gunners, and commiserations to Leicester, who started the game so well but eventually fell foul to others, just essentially a good quality team in Arsenal. Our next match in the top 5 series today is going to take us to Spain, where Levante hosted Valencia CF, and Levante would run out the 3-1 winners here, with goals coming in with a brace from Maya Rodriguez, and Mendes rounded up the goal scoring for Levante. And the scoring was opened up overall by Chacon from Valencia after a very good opening sequence of play, particularly from Levante. Alvaro Dondo had a gilt-edged opportunity to bring the game to an early start when it came to goals, but unfortunately she just skived her shot. But of course, given the final result, it didn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. Maybe on a personal level she will be disappointed with herself for such a poor finish, because just looking at her general goal scoring exploits from not only the World Cup but also here from Levante, she could have done and she should have done much better, but that's besides the point here. This is a very fun game to watch, especially after Levante were 2 goals ahead and Valencia did eventually get a red card after Rodriguez was stamped up by one of the players. It is interesting to see how Valencia would respond. Of course, they did concede that 3rd goal to Mendes, but looking at the defensive solidity of the team after those 3 goals were put in, I think it speaks to a little bit of a good sense of not only technical quality but defensive solidity, especially when you're a player down, because it's very hard when you're not only already on the losing foot of a game, but to then keep yourself up and just motivated to continue doing a very good defensive job, which is pretty exemplary and complimentary of the efforts that Valencia put in this game. Yes, they lost the match, but I think it's very good to commend them for doing such a good job to basically keep their heads up and continue to fight even with the odds so insurmountably stacked against them. But of course, Levante, they are pretty much at the top of the pile in my opinion when it comes to being the best of the rest in Liga F. Of course, Barcelona lead the pack and the league overall because they're Barcelona. I don't even have to say anything much about them, and they're followed not even close but by a very good distance by Real Madrid, and of course then there's the rest of the pack, which Levante, they are arguably one of the front runners in that best of the rest pack, and they are the perennial dark horses alongside the likes of Atletico Madrid for winning a Liga F title. But overall, it was a very fun match to watch, and I think it's just very exemplary, of the technical quality and attacking prowess that is always available every single week in Liga F. Our third match of this week's top 5 comes from the D1 Arkema in France, and is our second match where the team that was initially losing comes back from behind to win, and that team would be Guingamp, who were hosting OS Lille. Lille would go up ahead by 2 goals in the early beginnings of the first half, but funny enough, they wouldn't even get to experience that, unlike Leicester here, where they would eventually concede 2 goals to bring Guingamp back into the match going into the second half. And in the second half, it was pretty much just more of the same, but this time the roles were reversed, as Guingamp would be the team who took the impetus upon themselves to get themselves the 3 points, and which is something that they eventually did at the end as they ran out 4-3 winners as mentioned before here. The goals were all spectacular to watch apart from the 2 penalties, because I mean they're just penalties, there's nothing spectacular about them, but the remainder of the goals that were scored by both teams were just so fun to watch. In this match, it's not really tactical prowess or technical quality that you need to particularly look out for. This is what I'd classify as just a party match, where both teams pretty much just go gung-ho and do their best to score goals and to just win. And I think it was just so awesome in the best way possible. Like, I have nothing bad to say about either team when it comes to their defensive qualities or their attacking qualities. They just had a fun match, and at the end of it all, you'd have just wished to just have a little bit more extra time just so you can see what these 2 teams can bring out for each other here, because I do think that it was just a little bit more time, Lille would have come out with potentially another goal to just make it even Stevens for both teams, or even Guingamp would have just doubled up their lead and just gone home with a cushier win to just top it off. But apart from that, it was just a very fun match to watch overall. It was a brace from Tyne Turner, I hope that's how you pronounce her name, for Guingamp, and other goals came in from Azzaro and Donnery and Raban for Guingamp and Azzaro for OS Lille. Our penultimate top 5 match takes us to Italy in the Serie A Femminile, where AC Milan would share the spoils of victory with AS Sassuolo, where it was a very great start by AC Milan as they quickly took the lead in just 2 minutes thanks to an awesome strike by Bergamaschi. But unfortunately, just like Lille in our previous match, they would not get to enjoy their lead very long, as Sassuolo would respond quickly just 3 minutes later with a great header by Beccari, and this would end up being the final score in the game, as of course both teams would share the spoils as mentioned before. But now, if you are looking for technical quality and good tactical prowess by both teams, this is where you are going to find it in this match. I think this is pretty much, I would almost like to say that it is the tactician's dream to just see how well drilled both teams were in this match, and it is really unfortunate, particularly for AC Milan, who had a lot of good opportunities to score, but they just couldn't find the shot on target. The shooting boots were missing from all of their attackers. But looking at the overall game, I think there's a lot of good tactical discipline on display, particularly from Sassuolo, who did their very best to keep at it, especially against AC Milan. And overall, looking at this match, yes, it may be boring when you look at the scoreline and you see how slow paced the game was, but if you are someone who loves tactics and just looking at technical qualities when it comes to football, I think this match is for you because it really tells you a lot about these two teams, especially the way they play. For Sassuolo, they really love to be a free-flowing team that just does their best to attack. I like to liken them to a team that is akin to Brighton in the way they go about their business, but of course they're not as lethal and not as energetic, which is understandable. They're just lacking the personnel to really boost them up, but that's okay. Whereas AC Milan, I would really do my best to compare them to, I don't know, maybe like Fulham in a way, but just way more front forward and not just overly dependent on one particular player. It is more of a team effort that came from AC Milan, and the opportunities that they carved out in this game shows that they are not shy when it comes to not only goal scoring threats but also creative threats, as they have players who can pretty much make something out of nothing. And I think that is something that can really allow the team to build themselves up and eventually go and challenge for the title against the likes of Juventus and Roma as time eventually goes by. Our final top 5 match is going to be what I would like to say the inaugural match of the week here. This is something I'd like to do going forward, where I pretty much highlight to you that out of all these top 5 matches, this is the one you need to watch. So for the inaugural match of the week, I'm going to award it to Eintracht Frankfurt 2 and Bayer Leverkusen 2 in the Frauen Bundesliga, because when you watch this match from beginning to end, or just the highlights like I usually say, we are pretty much talking about all the things I said about the Serie A Femenil match in AC Milan versus Sassuolo and the D1 Arkema match in France between Guingamp and Lille, in the sense that not only was this match fun, but there was a lot of tactical prowess and technical quality on display here, and it pretty much scratched your itch regardless of what kind of a football fan you are. This match was just enjoyable from the very beginning, as the Bayer Leverkusen blueprint of just having free-flowing and fun attacking football seems to have also replicated to the women's team as much as it has to the men's team. And Eintracht Frankfurt, they are one of the best teams in Germany this season, and they really showed why in this game, as they managed to keep up the pace against Bayer Leverkusen, who again were just so awesome to watch. Their one-touch football, which was free-flowing and fluid, was just enjoyable, and the players from both teams worked effortlessly and tirelessly to get their teams the respective 3 points that they deserve. But unfortunately, again, for both teams, they just shared the spoils here, which is, I guess, fair in the grand scheme of things, and especially coming in from a neutral standpoint, given just how well both teams performed. It would have been unfair if either one of these teams won and took everything and the other team got nothing. I know that's how football works, but in these kinds of special situations, it's always good to see the shares getting spoiled, because for me, it's less of an indictment on a better team losing out to a worse team because of circumstances, but more of a compliment on the quality that both teams brought to this particular game, and the fact that they both got something out of it is just a badge of honor in my opinion. And personally, I cannot wait for the return fixture between these two teams, because it was just, again, so much fun to watch. It just scratched my itch as just a casual football fan, especially as a neutral to the potential tactician that I hope and aspire to be. I'm just kidding, I just play a lot of Football Manager and FIFA, but it was just fun overall, and this is going to be my match of the week. And I really do think that out of all the 5 matches that are on display in this week's top 5, this is the one you really need to go out of your way to watch in its whole entirety. And those are the top 5 matches of the week here. What was your favorite top 5 match? Was it covered in this video, or is it a match that was not covered at all in this video, or in the leagues that I mentioned, or in the leagues that I did mention? Whichever one you want to think or talk about, leave it in the comments below. Don't forget that the Women's Champions League has begun. There were some awesome matches on show yesterday, and there will be some awesome matches on show today. At the time of recording, it is currently Bayern Munich 2 and Roma 0, and I just really can't take my eyes off that match because it's pretty much fun to watch. I really hope Roma do make a comeback, just so we can have some fireworks, so that I can also have something to say in the future Champions League video that I'm making. Just going to be covering match day 1 of the Champions League, which will come out either tomorrow or Friday, I promise. But I think it's just really a good time to just jump into women's football. There's just entertainment on a continental level and on a domestic level, depending on the league that you follow the most. So, as always, please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.